What's up everyone, and welcome back to another oxygen not included build video. This one's going to be a clay slash oxygen factory. Originally it started out just as a clay factory, but the byproduct was oxygen, so may as well just include that as part of the build, I guess. I don't know. But we're going to go over the system first, and then we'll discuss the numbers afterwards. That way, if you're not interested in like the numbers and all that, then you can just get the build and be on your way. Or you can stick around and watch the rest of it. I don't care. Do what you want to do, man. Anyway, so how does the system work? Well, we take slime and we use that slime to off-gas oxygen, which then goes to the deodorizers, which then creates oxygen and clay, and consumes sand and polluted oxygen, obviously. Now, let's go into how it works. So, here we've got a conveyor system that's just consistently rotating, and if I just pause it for a second, you can see that some of these are empty, and that is the reason why this is rotating, because the slime will eventually evaporate, or not, well, not really evaporate. It gives off its mass. It gives off a portion of its mass and emits that as polluted oxygen. So eventually it's going to become all gas, and that tile or that block, whatever, on the rail is going to become empty. So we need to cycle that back through to fill it back up with slime. So that's why we've got this consistently running like this. Now I have 4 of them here, but really just 2 lanes here underneath seems to be balanced out. You could go 3 if you really wanted to like be 100% certain, but again, I'll discuss why that's important after all this in the numbers section. So yeah, we've just got a slime room. This could be just like a storage box out in the world, wherever, sort of centralized, and you could just sweep up slime and have it a sweep only box. And then duplicates can just deliver to that, and then the rail system can deliver this to wherever the heck you want it. And then obviously we've got the track running under the deodorizers. Now I have them spaced out by 1 each, and then obviously there's only 1 mesh tile, and then the rest are all insulated tiles. So there's only 1 tile gap where this polluted oxygen can make it through. And I don't know how important that is. I didn't test it with all mesh tiles. I assume it might work or function just as well, but I wanted to kind of limit the polluted oxygen that could flow through here. So at the beginning of the video, I started this system with no oxygen, no clay at cycle 30 at the beginning. So we'll take a look and see how much it produced afterwards in the number section again. All right, so then we have just our sand being delivered via the shipping track, and then the clay obviously gets shipped out to another area. Now we have 2 pumps here. These are very important. Well, you could probably get away with 1. I mean, 1 in theory should handle all of the gas that this outputs, but I've got 2 just to be safe. And the automation sensors are at 1680. Now that's pretty important. These Atmos sensors at 1680. I don't know if that's like the exact number. You could probably set them at 1700 and be fine, or even like 1650 and be fine, but this is pretty important, and that's because the pressure difference in here has to be such that the oxygen pressure keeps the polluted oxygen low enough to where it doesn't get sucked into the pumps, but also high enough to where the deodorizers can consistently intake enough of it. So the pressure is very important, and the slime stops off-gassing polluted oxygen at 1800 kilograms. So that's why we've got it set near that amount, but slightly lower. We want the slime to be, or we want the polluted oxygen to be pushing its way forward, but consistently getting converted into oxygen, you know. And then we just have some storage tanks up here. No big deal. So that's the basic system. Pretty simple. You want to start out with a vacuum, obviously, in here. Actually, you don't need to. I would say you would want to, though. Probably just to be safe. Yep, that's it. So let's go over some numbers. If I just pull up the deodorizer here, boom. So deodorizers use 133 grams of filtration medium, so sand or regolith, and use 100 grams of polluted oxygen per second. They also output 143.3 grams of clay per second and 90 grams of oxygen per second. That works out to 54 kilograms of clay per cycle, 85.8 kilograms of clay per cycle and 54 kilograms of oxygen per cycle. This is enough. Well, with 5 deodorizers, what I have in this system here, it should give off 429 kilograms of clay and 270 kilograms of oxygen per cycle, and that should be enough for 429 kilograms of ceramic and 4.5 dupes. So this system, for its oxygen anyway, can support 4.5 dupes. So 2 of them can support 10, obviously. Or 9, sorry, I can't count. So here we go. Here is the output after 1 cycle. I started it at cycle 30, just a notch before where it is right now, and we're at 420 kilograms of clay. The math works out to 429, but we can see the auto sweeper is actually delivering some clay right now. If we just unpause it for a second, there, so 430 kilograms, so pretty on point. Let's look at the oxygen. Here we have 150 kilograms and then 118 kilograms. So that's what, 268 kilograms. So the math worked out to 270 kilograms. So that's pretty dang on point as far as the output numbers go. I would say that's pretty dang perfect. Now, the way this is set up is actually important. The deodorizer having the 1 space in between them is very important. If you try and crowd the deodorizers like this, they just can't function. They can't output what they should be outputting per cycle. They just can't get the amount of polluted oxygen for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why, but it just doesn't work out. At least I couldn't get it to work out. So some other things that are important, I guess, is that deodorizers need 100 grams of polluted oxygen per second to run. If they have less than 100 grams available to them, they won't process it. They won't produce any clay with that. They won't even produce less clay. They just won't run. They need that much. That's the bare minimum. And 1 slime pile here produces 125 grams a second of polluted oxygen. Now it says, if we come over here, we're gonna need to vacuum some of this out. If we look at it, it says it emits 41.7 grams of polluted oxygen per second, but that is not correct. If we come over here and we say 0.25, we dig that up, we can see we have 125 grams of slime here. Boom. We can let it sit there for 1 second. It evaporates into a poof of polluted oxygen. Gives off, well, 129.1 grams of polluted oxygen. The maths don't always work out perfectly. I don't know why. It's just oxygen not included math, man. But yeah, so the slime gives off around 125 grams of polluted oxygen per second and consumes that much mass as well, or similar or close to that number of mass, regardless of how much slime you have in a pile. So if you have like 40 tons of slime in one pile, it doesn't matter. It's still going to output that 25 grams per second. So that's why it's important to have multiple piles in this system. So we need to be able to produce more oxygen. If we just had piles on the ground like this, it might not be enough. Now, if you do the math, and these things consume, let's go back here, 100 grams of polluted oxygen per second, and 1 slime pile produces 125 grams of polluted oxygen per second. In theory, we should only need 1 slime pile per deodorizer, but it does not work out that way. Trust me, I've tried it. I've tried a single layer of conveyor belts, which is 2 slime piles per deodorizer, or maybe even 1 more, but yeah, that didn't work. It actually was not off-gassing enough. So you saw me in the beginning. I had it run with, let's see, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 11. So 22 slime piles here. It seems to run with this much. I didn't try and figure out exactly how much it is. It might take a second to balance out. So once it hits 1700 here, now it shouldn't drop below 1700 because it should be off-gassing faster. And then once it hits 1800 grams, it stops off-gassing because it's overpressurized. And then obviously drops below and off-gasses again. So you can see it's sitting right around 1700, and that's where we want it. Now it looks like it might actually be losing a little bit. So let's see if we open like 1. See, I could do this and try and figure out the exact amount of slime piles I need, but there's really no point. I think just having like 3 conveyor rails like this is gonna be plenty. I don't know really why you would set this up for clay alone. I think the whole reason for setting up something like this is that it produces oxygen and clay, and it uses slime and sand, which is 2 things that are normally very abundant in the map, and you don't really ever worry about running out of them. And even if you ever ran out of sand, you could use regolith, which is even more abundant, and you could argue infinite. So this is something that I might actually consider setting up in a base instead of like electrolyzers from now on, because you don't always have water available, and running pipes and stuff and electrolyzers is kind of a pain in the butt. I actually like the system a lot more. Plus it gives you clay, which clay is kind of a pain in the butt to go dig up and make ceramic constantly. So I actually like the system. It's kind of a shame that my recent max difficulty run, I just set up my oxygen production system, because I would much prefer to set up one of these. That's all the information I wanted to cover, at least I think so. I'm really happy with this, actually, and I spent a little more time than I planned to. Like I said in the beginning, I thought it was just going to be a simple system, but it turned out to be a little more complicated than I thought, especially with this pressure. I had to tweak the pressure a little bit more than I thought I originally would. But yeah, that's the system. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up button and let me know you liked it. If you didn't like it, you can hit the thumbs down. I may hold a grudge, I may not, I don't know, it just depends on I'm joking, I'm not gonna hold a grudge. Just like the video, all right? If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's easy, it's 100% free, and it makes me happy. I mean, if you want to make my day, you want to make me happy, just hit that subscribe button, man. It will put a smile on my face. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.